Hello, I'm Max Blitman, and today we're going to be talking about derailleurs. What is a derailleur, you ask? A derailleur is the part on the bicycle that actually moves the chain. The derailleurs were first developed on the Whippet safety cycle. This is also being the first cycle that has suspension built into the frame. They were much like this early 1930s derailleur, very basic and nothing like what you see on bicycles today. Now there's two types of derailleurs on every bicycle. The first is a front derailleur. This one is going to be for shifting the gears near your pedals, the big ones. This also keeps the chain on these gears. I can tell you from personal experience that you need this part to keep this chain on your gears reliably. The second type is a rear derailleur. This is the one that gets all the development and all the glory. This is the one you're going to use most often. This changes the gears on your back wheel. And there's a lot more, as you can see, anywhere up to 11 these days. It also tensions the chain. You can imagine that the chain tension needs to be much different on these small cogs than these large cogs. There's also variations within derailleurs for the types of bicycles. We're going to focus on rear derailleurs because front derailleurs really aren't all that exciting. The rear derailleurs, as you can see, for a mountain bike is going to be built to be much heavier duty than this road derailleur, and it's going to have a higher capacity, which means it's going to have a longer cage length. Basically, this means it can take more gears and it can take larger gears and a larger gear range. The focus for the road derailleur, and the reason it's not as heavy duty, is because it focuses on weight. Ask any roadie, weight is very important. And so that's, by default, it means it's going to have a lower capacity. Now, one thing you have to understand is that derailleurs don't work by themselves. They need shifters. These are the parts that you actually push. These are the parts that come in contact with your fingers, and these are what drives the derailleurs. Now, when you talk about derailleurs, there's two basic big brands, SRAM and Shimano. I like SRAM for mountain biking, and I like Shimano for road biking, but really, they're pretty applicable. It's up to personal preference. SRAM has a 1-to-1, which means if you pull an inch on your shifter, it pulls an inch on your derailleur. Shimano is a 2-to-1. You pull an inch on your shifter, it pulls 2 on your derailleur. You don't really notice. Really, it's just up to personal preference. Now, there's some cool things happening. This is an electronic shift. This is in the road world. What this does is you push a button on your shifter, and it sends a signal to your derailleur, which has an actuator and shifts itself. So there's no cables to mess with. You set it and forget it. Shimano says it's foolproof. I don't think this will be commercially available for the next 2 to 3 years because of the cost, but it's really cool. And there's another big thing going on in the mountain world. We're going to a one-by. What that means is we're doing away with this front derailleur entirely. We're just going to focus on the rear derailleur, and we're just going to have one gear in front, and we found that we have the same gear range. That's what's going on in the cycling world. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Here's some stories.